Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video, I'll share some of my favorite old stuff with you. By that I mean things I've had for 10 years or more that stood the test of time, that aged well, and that I'm really glad I invested money in. Fashion moves quickly these days, and within a time span of 5 years, you might have turned around your entire wardrobe. For me, I don't buy something that I just intend to wear for a season or two and then throw it away or donate it, because I have a style that is classic and timeless, and so I can buy a tie and wear it for 20 years down the line. At least that's my approach. Of course, if something is stained or not repairable anymore, I may throw it away, but I have a hard time with it, and you can learn more about what my wife thinks about that here. One of the reasons I want to share this list with you is to show you how good things age, and that you too can invest in items that are not subject to trends, but simply part of your style. It may not be my style, but it may be a style that works for you, not just now, but in 5 years, 10 years, or even more down the line. Personally, I don't care if an item is vintage, used, or new. All that I care about it, that it has quality, maybe some character, and that it works for me. So without further ado, let's jump into the 14 items. For each thing, I will talk about when I bought it, how it has aged, its details, the maker, and everything else of interest. Number one is a chalk-striped overcoat, single-breasted, that I bought in about 2004 or 2005 used. It's from Bally, and it has a very nice silhouette. It doesn't have much shoulder padding, and it's very flattering. And it's what I wore when I met my wife, and I still have it to this day. I just recently had all the buttons replaced because they were coming off, but I can still wear it, and it's just a nice overcoat, and I have a lot of memories attached to it. If you look at it, it isn't really worn out yet. The lapels might be a little slim, but overall it has side vents, which is unusual. It's just a timeless garment that even looks stylish worn today. Number two is my rope-striped suit from Ralph Lauren. I bought it on eBay, I think in 2004 or 2005 for about $300 or $400. It was one of my first suits that cost some money, and it was just wonderful when it arrived. It was soft, it had a soft interlining, soft shoulders, and it had this kind of 30s inspired cut with the wider lapels that I really appreciated. It also had the inward facing pleats in the pants. That wasn't something I had up until then, and it's a really great way to kind of maintain your weight, because if your old stuff doesn't fit you anymore, you have to get rid of it. But if you hate the idea of that, you'll always make an effort to just wear those garments. It's to this day my wife's favorite suit, even though I have other bespoke suits and stuff, but she just likes the look of it and the way it feels, and she's just very attracted to it. And I still love that piece. It's from Ralph Lauren Purple Label, and at the time it was still made in Crewe, England by Chesterberry. Today they've moved production to Italy, but every once in a while on eBay you can still find those old pieces, which I think are quintessentially British, but they're very soft, more like an Anderson Shepherd silhouette, for example. At the same time, the cut is a little different, and so I like that about those old Ralph Lauren Purple Label pieces. Number three on our list is the original prototype wallet for Ford Belvedere. It was made around 2010, 2011, and I've been wearing it ever since. It's a deerskin wallet, kind of a really dark chocolate brown with a more like sunflower yellow lining. It has the signature for Belvedere folded edges. And at the time, I just wanted to make sure that if we sell a wallet, it would hold up. And so I just wore it every day. And you can still see, it looks still pretty good for being that old and used every day. To check out other hallmarks of a quality wallet, please check out this wallet guide here. And if you're interested in the wallets we sell today, please check them out here. Next up are my Augusto Caraceni suits. I bought them used in about 2003 to 2005, and it all started with eBay. Someone had just listed it as a bespoke suit, or Maßanzug in Germany, and I bought it for 30 euros, which is about 35, 40 bucks. Now, I just saw the picture of the label and realized that was a high-end suit, And since most people who have bespoke suits don't just buy one, I asked them if they had more. And that first one was this kind of pale green fresco suit that I got. It had a wonderful color depth, it was single-breasted with 2 buttons, had a wider notched lapel, and it was just a beautiful garment. It was a great summer suit. Fortunately, the lady who sold it got me in touch with the owner of the suits, and he had a bunch more, and his son lived in the city I was studying in Hamburg, Germany, and so he would come there every once in a while and drop off a whole suitcase with ties and shirts and suits. He had my height and weight, and overall it was a pretty nice fit. They're pretty comfortable. They're not perfect, but really hardly anything is. Other suits from that lot include my double-breasted petrol blue suit, also in a fresco fabric. It includes the charcoal brown pinpoint suit, 3-piece with a double-breasted waistcoat and peak lapels, and also the brown double-breasted Prince of Wales check or Glen check suit with an overpane in a light blue. You can see I've worn them gently, but they're by no means worn out. And I bought them used, so they're probably about 30 or 40 years old, but they still look great. They have a timeless shape, and it's just something that I can always pull off, and people always compliment me on it. Simply because most men do not have suits in such unusual colors and patterns. Last but not least, I also have a green worsted suit from Caraceni that I also got in that lot that came with a 3-piece single-breasted vest, a notched lapel, and it's also nice to combine it as a sport coat with different colored pants. The 5th item on my list is a pair of Ludwig Reiter shoes. It's a Austrian shoemaker of Goodyear welted shoes, and I have this full brook derby, which has an unusual last form and an unusual cognac color. I bought it, I think, for €100, new, unworn, at a vintage shop in Munich in about 2003. It has a few scratches these days, it has been resold, but I still enjoy wearing them, and it's still a cool pair of shoes that has stood the test of time. And around the same time, I bought some vintage church's shoes in black and brown. One pair already worn out, was literally like a big gaping hole in the uppers, so I had to just throw them away. But the others, they are clearly worn, but you can see them here. And I wear them not as often anymore, simply because I have other shoes now. The lasts are not perfect, and the leather shows quite a bit of wear. The 6th thing I'm really glad I invested money in is cufflinks. I used to have an extensive cufflink collection with gold that I usually purchased on eBay and other vintage places in Germany. I had to sell most of them in order to come to the US for good in 2009, 2010. But I still have a few cufflinks that I originally bought. One of them is this kind of green enamel pair that I bought at a flea market in Budapest during an internship in 2006. It has some blemishes, but it is still nice looking, it's unusual, and it's something I can still wear to this day. This kind of spirit inspired me to design my own collection of cufflinks, which are all designed so you can hand them down to your children, to your sons, even to your daughters, and they can wear them and enjoy them for decades, maybe even centuries to come. The 7th group of things are my Siniscalchi shirts. They came from the same guy who had these Caraceni suits, and I got a bunch of them. What I really liked about them was they had very unusual high-end fabrics. Siniscalchi is a high-end shirt maker from Milan, Italy, and usually a shirt from him costs around 500 to 600 euros, which is quite pricey. But he has a very unique process in how you're measured. The collars are all custom in their shape, and I really enjoy their fabric selection because they have very breathable fabrics for summer and just very beautiful fabrics that you don't find elsewhere. I've worn many of those shirts a lot, and over time you can see that the collars and the cuffs are wearing out. Now, I can either throw the whole shirt away, or I can just exchange the collars and the cuffs, which is probably what I'm gonna do, simply because I appreciate those shirts for what they are. The 8th thing that has aged well and stood the test of time is my Montblanc fountain pen. My whole journey into classic menswear started with an Omas fountain pen, and I bought it on eBay and sold it and made more money as a teenager, which then got me into collecting, buying and selling fountain pens, and I specialized in Montblanc fountain pens. It was all around 2000 to 2003, and while I sold most of my fountain pens, I still kept some of them. They still write well. They still look nice, and I particularly like it for signatures because you can have a green ink with a wide 03B nib, so no one can really fake your signature, or if they try, you know that it's not the right pen. The ninth item I've been wearing for years is my black Burberry trench coat. I bought it used in around 2007 at a vintage store in Hamburg called Rudolf Beauvais. He specialized in British vintage things, and it's just an experience to go into that store because it's full of old English stuff, memorabilia, clothes, and it's just wonderful to be there. At the time, I didn't have much money, but I had sold a set of Goyard suitcases that gave me a lot of plain money, but the thing I bought together with my wife Teresa was this trench coat because she really liked it on me, and I liked it too. Now, the only thing I don't like 100% is that it's black, which on the one hand makes it good for travel because it doesn't pick up dirt very easily, unlike, let's say, the typical beige trench coat. On the other hand, if it would have been like a dark gray or a navy, it would have the same benefits, but it would be a little more versatile. Number 10 is my cotton polo sweater. I really like those cable knit tennis sweaters with a deep V-neck that show off your tie and your shirt. It just makes me feel like I'm part of the 1930s, even though I don't wear them to play tennis at all, because I simply don't play tennis, except maybe leisurely with my wife in the summer or when we're on vacation. Even though they're white and as such they stain very easily, I've managed to keep it in good shape because it's cotton, it can be washed. I also have others in wool, which are nice. What I like about this particular sweater is that it has a navy and a light blue color accents around the collar and also some navy blue around the sleeve. And it's just a very preppy look that is very distinguished and unique in this day and age. The 11th thing that stood the test of time for me are a bunch of Calvin Klein underwear, and it may surprise you because it's more of a pedestrian brand. But I remember when I came to the US the first time in 2006 as an exchange student, Calvin Klein was the hot stuff. And so I bought a bunch of those underwear, and I kept wearing them and wearing them and wearing them, and they haven't really worn out. They were made out of polyester mostly, and they still look good. And these days, I have a bunch of different underwear, so I rarely wear them anymore. But overall, they've really held up superbly well, and I was positively surprised by that. The 12th thing that I'm still wearing almost every day are shadow striped socks. I was first introduced to them in around 2003 by my friend Herbert Stricker, who is also known as Grimaud de la Reynière, and he had these wonderful socks from Italy, and I always wanted them because they had these two tones and it was easy to combine it with your outfits. It was very different than the solid socks I had previously. Now, those socks were also what inspired me to create the 4 Belvedere socks of shadow stripes, which come in many different color combinations, because it's just a wonderful pair of socks. Works with most solid pants, pattern pants, even with some striped pants. It's so easy to combine, unlike a solid pair of socks, which is always slightly off. To learn more about how to pair socks with shoes and pants, please check out this video here. And for an overview of the socks we offer now, head over to our shop. The 13th thing that has stood the test of time is my Merkur Slant razor. I got it in around 2006 when I switched from a Gillette Mach 3 system to a double-edged safety razor. And at first, I had a regular safety razor, and someone told me, well, try the slant one with the feather blades. And for me, it was a revelation. I got a shave that was so smooth and soft, and I just had not known that before. The razor cost about 55 bucks, and it's still in good use today. It works really well. I think it will go for many more years. So it was a perfectly great investment. Last but not least, one thing I really appreciate about my wardrobe are my vintage overcoats. It's not just one, because I have many of them and I bought them vintage, starting all the way as $5 up to maybe $200 or a little more sometimes. But it's something that other people don't have. It's hard to find these days. And sometimes you can find them if you're lucky, but they have this beautiful, heavy fabric that drapes extremely well and keeps you warm. I particularly like double-breasted overcoats and the little details they have with the back belts and the back pleats, or just the fabrics they use. And you can see my entire collection of overcoats here. Ironically, in today's outfit, the only real vintage piece is probably my pinky ring, which is sterling silver with a tiger's eye. My blazer is navy blue, made out of a beautiful Vitale Barberis conical fabric that was made for me. My shirt is red and white striped with French cuffs. I'm combining it with silver monkey fistnet cufflinks from Fort Belvedere, which you can find in our shop, just like the pocket square, which is a red and white handcrafted linen, which is a bit crisper, and it has contrasting white cross or X stitches on the edges, which are hand rolled. It harmonizes well with my shirt, as well as the red or burgundy red knit tie from Fort Belvedere, which likewise is in our shop, just like the shadow striped socks in brown and off-white, which work well with my off-white pants, which are white or off-white winter flannel. And I'm pairing them with a soft-looking pair of suede shoes in brown. They're a Oxford Brugge, and they're from Velasca. The pants were also made for me.